The Huntley-Brinkley Report continues, brought to you by Sherwin Williams Paints. The paints people trust, from the people who cover the earth.
For the thousands of guys who aren't very handy around the house, Sherwin Williams developed an easy-to-use latex house paint. You don't need primer because it's built right in, and you don't need special paints for masonry. Painting's easy. And so's the cleanup. Brushes rinse out in soap and water. Easy to use Sherwin Williams latex house paint from the people who cover the earth.
West Germany's money is one of the big issues between the Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats in Sunday's election. The Social Democrats would like the Deutschmark revalued upward. The Christian Democrats would like to keep it where it is. Today, Chancellor Kiesinger took some of the steam out of it, recommending that both parties stop talking about the money and leave it alone for 6 months at least. Chet Huntley is in West Germany to cover the election, and he reports on the campaign.
German election campaigns tend to be noisy affairs, though candidates, like their rallies, differ more in style than in substance. The two major political parties also sound alike, even if they do play different tunes to the 38 million voters of West Germany. The Christian Democrats stress their leader, West German Chancellor Kurt Kiesinger, and say it's the Chancellor who counts in the government. The Social Democrats, led by Willy Brandt, mostly refer to themselves as a group, working together for the Germany of the future. There are extremists on the left and the right, but the so-called neo-Nazi NPD will be lucky to get 5% of the vote, entitling it to a place in Parliament.
Keine Millimeter ihrer bisherigen Position in der Deutschlandfrage preisgegeben.
Kiesinger has been Chancellor for almost 3 years, in coalition with the Social Democrats, a partnership each side is trying to end by getting enough votes to govern on its own. Kiesinger counts heavily on personal charm. He looks a Chancellor and acts it. Brandt, the socialist, now serving as foreign minister in the grand coalition run by Kiesinger, will himself become chancellor if his party can win enough seats to control the federal parliament. It has been out of power since 1930 and has run second every election since the war. And there is Franz Josef Strauss, leader of the Bavarian wing of Kiesinger's Christian Democrats, now finance minister, a tough, sometimes ruthless conservative who might well take over the party from Kiesinger if it is forced into opposition, a prospect that frightens many German liberals. Professor Karl Schiller, West Germany's economics minister, has played a leading role this election for Brandt's Social Democrats. He is the architect of the latest German economic miracle, the man who may still get his way about revaluing the Deutschmark, despite opposition from Kiesinger and Strauss. Somewhat lost in the fun and games of this campaign was the question of what to do about the German economy, which is in danger of overheating. How to cool it down without stopping it cold. How to prevent strikes for higher pay, which could inflate the economy to explosion. And there were other serious questions that were sometimes allowed to crop up, notably the question of future relations with communist East Germany and the Soviet Union. The campaign had its ugly moments. More than once, Kiesinger was shouted down by leftists in the crowd who called attention to his one-time membership in the Nazi Party. was another frequent target of the leftists, who also managed to break up so many rallies of the right-wing NPD that the authorities often banned the NPD from meeting at all just to keep the peace. Anyone to the right of the extreme left was attacked, and the symbol of his hatred was the man whose face still haunts so many in the democratic Germany of today. This Sunday's elections are unlikely to signal any significant change in the immediate future course of West Germany. The choice before the voters is too narrow. The state of the country is too healthy for that. What the politicians here really seem to be arguing about is this: who is going to have the honor of running what may be the world's most successful and efficient economic machine? In spite of the color of the campaign, it's as much like a corporate struggle for power as that. This German election is important because anything the Germans do is considered important by the rest of the world. 30-year-old memories of German aggressiveness account for part of it. Today's German economic invincibility is the rest of it. And it is not forgotten that in the past, the Germans frequently abused their power. Chet Huntley, NBC News, Bonn, West Germany.
If you use a dandruff shampoo on Tuesday, but dandruff's back on Thursday, maybe what you've got isn't ordinary dandruff. Ask your doctor. Flaking and itching could be early signs of eczema, seborrhea, psoriasis. Tegrin medicated shampoo has an invisible medicated barrier that fights bacteria for days. Plus, a medication that helps control flaking and itching with just regular use. Try Tegrin medicated shampoo.
Thank you. I wear dentures, and I love lots of tea, but I don't have to worry about tea-stained dentures. I use Polident. No matter what I've tried, nothing pleases me more than Polident.
People keep coming back to Polident because no tablet, powder, or paste gives them the cleaning satisfaction of Polident. No wonder dentists surveyed recommend Polident over all other leading brands combined. No wonder denture wearers keep coming back to Polident.
President Nixon never uses the swimming pool downstairs in the White House, and so he is thinking now of turning it into a press room for reporters, presumably draining the water first. Two brothers were convicted of murdering Raymond Navarro, the hot-eyed Latin lover from the silent movies, and they were sentenced to life imprisonment. A House committee began hearings on a bill to stop somehow the mailing of unsolicited pornography. McCulloch of Ohio said the right of every American to read dirty books, if he wants to, must be protected, but it's intolerable to have them forced on those who don't. Today, the stock market lost some of what it gained in the past week. The Dow Jones Industrials dropped almost 5 points, and an average share of common stock lost 32 cents. One time, back in the mists of history, Walter O'Malley took the Brooklyn Dodgers and moved them somewhere to the west, looking for more money. Well, then appeared a team called the Mets in 1962. In a 10-team league, they finished 10th. For 4 years in a row, they finished 10th. In 1966, they zoomed from 10th up to 9th. But a year later, exhausted from the effort, they slid back to 10th. Well, by this time, New York's baseball fans are absolutely in love with them, and nobody even talked about the Yankees anymore, except in the executive dining room at CBS. Well, 1969 dawned clear and cold, and before the year was over, last night, in fact, the Mets needed only one game to win the Eastern Division Championship. When a St. Louis Cardinal was thrown out at first base, the moment came.
or three men that could bat fairly good in there, but we could not run, or we couldn't cover the ground in the outfield. And instead of making double plays, we didn't have a double play combination. Then we couldn't, too many men were getting on, even if the pitchers had been better. And then we couldn't have the catcher to stop the ball. So it was too far to the grandstand back there. And then when a man would have a pass ball, they wouldn't stop at second, they'd go, and you'd go to third base. And when they're on third base, why, then you say, well, I do manage it. Shall I put my infield in to get the man at the plate? And if you did, you'd have the infield in all summer, and you'd have never got the game over, because you have to play back to get one and hope he hit a line drive or hit a ball so you could catch it and catch a man off. See, it was off of the bases. Now, this was all being done, and then they got more confidence playing you, and then your other club's saying, well, how are you going to win so many? And if you win 3 and then lost 20, that'd be the signal. Now, after the season was over, the attendance was great. The public came back. Great that they lost all them. So we had the grandparents. Then we got the kids. So we went out and shot for the kids. We shot for girls groups and boys groups. We have days there where we'd have 1,000 people. I used to meet some of the friends, and if I'd go in at night, and I generally would drink by myself, maybe with some writers or somebody else, if they had always written their stuff, you know, or if he was a broadcaster, I would join them, and they would say, now, let's see, what about this here club for tomorrow?
When he was manager, Casey Stengel never finished a sentence. Since he is retired, he never finishes a sentence. Good night for NBC News.